right, now that we're done with most of our molding and facing and everything, we're ready for edgeband. Edgeband is a 1-inch veneer strip that's going to go on the inside of all your cabinets where the 1/4 inch meets the face frame. It's 1 inch because you have the 3/4 inch face frame and the 1/4 inch material that it all covers up. This is a special thing that we do it outside the box to give your kitchen that final touch and that look of being finished without it looking like it was refaced. It really does wonders at hiding the fact that your kitchen was refaced in the first place. So the edgeband is what you're going to be sent. What you're going to need for this is the best contact cement you can find is the 3M Fast Bond contact adhesive. It's water-based, so it's safe and it doesn't have too many chemical smells or anything like that. And it also adheres very well. You're going to want a 3-inch roller and roller pad, 3-inch chip brush, and a 4-inch roller tray for that. I have it set up here where I have my piece that has some normal Scotch masking tape rolled inside out at the edges there. And I'm just going to roll the edgeband out on this surface. So I just stick it on my tape on one side. Make sure that it's sticking well. And then I pull it out, face the finished face down, because we're going to be putting glue on the not finished face. Lay a couple pieces out here. Get it stuck on there well. Now that we're set up to glue that, we'll go over to the cabinet and get prepared to do that. This is just a fancy nail punch. What you'll want to do is run your finger along the inside edge where you were toenailing and find any nails that are sticking out, because those will actually show through the edgeband if you don't. Just pull it back. You can find these nail punches at more specialty hardware stores or online. Spring Tools is the name of them. They're really handy for something like this. The edgeband is one of the more tedious processes that we have in this reface technique, but it really does wonders in giving your cabinet that finishing touch. I always like to put my glue on the cabinets first. It takes longer to dry since it's not that controlled flat area. It tends to pool up where it's seeping down vertically. So I always like to start with the cabinet. Basically what you want to know with the contact cement is that it's a 3-pass rule, meaning you want to go over every surface 3 times. Got a decent amount of material on that brush. So I'm just going to go along perpendicular to the face, getting a nice wet coat on there. That's 1. Now I'm going to go along and I'm going to spread that coat out evenly across. That's 2. And I'm going to flip my brush and do 1 more pass just to make sure you got every square inch of that piece. And that's 3. If you do every part you go at 3 passes, you're pretty much guaranteed not to miss any spots of glue. You want to make sure that when you're why we do it perpendicularly is because you want to roll over the top of that front edge. This front edge is the most important part of the edge banding process. If you don't have glue on that front edge, anytime you reach in your cabinet later, anytime you rub your hand on that edge, you have a chance of peeling it up. So in every single pass, you want to make sure that you're coming up, out and over that front edge. Now over to the board. I like to set up with a small piece of edgeband underneath the board like that. And we take our roller and we roll it over. Not putting that much pressure down and just letting it cover over the top of it. That was 1 pass. There's 2. There's 3. And another one never hurt. The reason I put that edge band there earlier is so now I can lift it up and get that edge band away from the board so that we don't end up gluing our edge band to the board. Now we're all set up. We just have to wait for the glue to dry, and it must be dry to the touch. The only way that this contact cement works if it's completely dry, both on the edge band and on the surface of the cabinet. Once it's completely dry in all spots, you're ready to lay your edge band. All right, so now we're ready to apply our edge band. It's been approximately 20 minutes since we applied the contact cement, and so now it's all ready to go. Easiest way to tell on the face frame is that you can hardly see the glue anymore. So once it gets completely clear, if you have the neutral color of the contact cement, which I highly recommend, neutral, then that's your best way to tell. Also, go ahead and touch around there. Your corners are your most susceptible spots, so touch in there, make sure you're not getting any on your finger, and you're ready to go. I'll just pull a piece here. First thing I do is cut off one end and then flatten it out. If you have a lot of dust in the kitchen at this point, before you've started, you'll want to sweep around, at least make sure the area that you're edge banding is pretty much dust free. Dust gets on there, it makes it harder for the contact cement to adhere. And then I just like when we did our horizontals for our 1/4 inch, I just lay the edge band out like that. Take a razor blade and cut down. I use a paper cutter. It's the best way to get a square cut. Scissors is just fine too. You just want to make sure that you're cutting it nice and square. There's no reason to go out and buy a paper cutter just for putting the edge band on when you can just eyeball cut it out with the scissors. I do recommend that you mark it with a razor blade. It's the most accurate way to mark it. Now that I've started out, I dry fitted it first by having the finish edge down just to make sure that everything is fitting right. And I'm just going to start at one edge and work my way across. When I put this on, I start out by really just making sure of that front edge. So I'm holding, my back hand is holding the edge band up on the back edge so that I can put this perfectly flush on the front edge. I haven't even pressed down on the back edge at all. I'm just working my way across on that front edge, getting it completely flush. Now that I've worked my way all the way across, I can go across the back edge. Give it a couple wipes, and that's good. We'll go back and after we're done with the entire opening, we'll go back and we'll wipe off the excess and rub it down a little bit. I always start off with my bottom rail, so any of the wiping that I'm doing, once I get around the top and the sides, is not getting on the contact cement that's on the bottom rail and messing with my ability to get that contact cement to adhere. I like to do the horizontals first. When you're putting on your edge band and you do your horizontals first, if you do end up with any small gaps, they're less easy to see. They stick out less if you do your horizontals first. Again, highly recommend that. Again, it's just the same process every time. Mark it, cut it, dry fit it, and start installing. Once you're done with an area, you're going to want to rub off the excess glue. You can use a rag or a paper towel to save your fingerprints, but this is definitely the most efficient, easiest way to get off the glue, just by semi-hard pressure, but nice and slow. Just roll your fingers over the top of both the edges. You'll feel the edge band glue start to kind of roll up, and you just kind of wipe it away as it's rolling up into small little balls. Now that all my my excess glue is wiped off, I'm going to want to rub it down. By rubbing it down, means slightly rounding the corners off. You want to do that with the piece of scribe. Just cut off a small piece of scribe, big enough to hold with 2 hands. You want to hold it with 2 hands, because if you hold it with just 1 hand and you start to round that corner, it could possibly slip off and then gouge your 1/4 inch off while you're slipping off. So you want to hold it with 2 hands. First, rub it down flat, and then hold it at about a 45-degree angle. And with light pressure, just round off that edge. Go across with your finger and rub off any excess glue that might come out. It's really light pressure here. If you want to start out very light, and if you don't see that edge rounding off a little bit, then press harder. You don't want to start by pressing into it. You press into it too hard, you can possibly chip the edge band or pull off some of the finish. So just start off light and you'll be fine, and just kind of feel it out. Once you've done it once for one opening, there's really not much difference in any other openings. And that is edge band. So this that example of an opening that's finished with your edge band and your skins. And here's what it looks like without it, which is what you're going to see with typical 1/4 inch refacing. And outside the box, we believe this is the way to go for your cabinets to really have that final touch on them. We do this the same way for all the openings, except there's no reason for you to do the top rail on your lowers or the inside of your drawer boxes. You'll never see those. There's no point in doing them. So we just recommend that you don't waste your time with that.